morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy good morning to you, wherever you are. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is being brought to you by Gates Barbershop. That's a shop you can go to and you can get your hair cut any way you would like. Oh, you would like an old fashioned haircut? Good. Maybe you want a present day? Great. Maybe you want one of the future? Yes. Robert Gates will fix you up because he knows exactly what to do. He's located at 2609 North Martin Luther King in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. You don't have to call for an appointment. All you have to do is to go up, and the parking is free. Ladies and gentlemen, today I would like to dedicate my program, the first part of it, to the people from Grayson and Hoffman, Oklahoma. Yesterday at exactly 1 o'clock, Grayson Knights and Hoffman Knights from over Oklahoma gathered in the beautiful home of Gene Ford. I call it a plantation. It was wonderful. They were there to celebrate their annual picnic. And today I would like to congratulate those pioneers from Grayson and Hoffman. They really have something to talk about. And yesterday they took in 9 new members. Congratulations, you Graysonites and you Hoffmanites. A lot of you that have not been to Hoffman, I've told you about it. And I guarantee you that if you would go to Hoffman, you will see nothing. But you can't see nothing because you don't have the eyes to see. In Hoffman, we do have red clay. And we can tell you more stories about that clay than you can even imagine. Did you know George Washington Carver took clay and made paint out of it? Well, anyway, you need to go to Hoffman. Those of you that are from Hoffman and Grayson did not attend that affair yesterday, you really missed something. You know, Hoffman and Grayson people can get together and have a good time. My class, my high school class reunion, could have had a reunion yesterday. I was in the top 5 of my class. However, there were only 5 in my class. And 3 of the members were there yesterday. And I could not get Gladys Caddy and Onita Brown to meet. We could have met yesterday. We had a majority and planned our class reunion. But that's not here nor there. And I would like to thank all of you for what all you've done for me this week. I really appreciate it. You know, I get so much mail, but I got one letter that really disturbed me. It was from a guy that was so well typed and everything, and he was down to Helena or somewhere. And he wrote me and told me what I ought to do. I want you to listen to this, he said. My name is Michael C. Washington. This is my slave name. I now go by Kululu Amua, the one to whom Allah spoke. As you might have guessed, I'm a Muslim. In any case, I've been for the past 21 years in the Oklahoma Department of Corrections. I am serving a 35-year prison sentence for robbery with a dangerous weapon. Now that you have received this information, Mr. Luper, you know exactly what to do. And this is a part that I cannot understand. He told me that black leaders are unable to deal with realities. And then he said, we have not our so-called black leaders, and the so-called black leaders could call the black masses together, urging them to march down to the nation's capital to demand our national lawmakers to pass a resolution calling for blacks to automatically have the right to vote just as every other group. Now I want to answer you, Mr. Muslim, and I'm going to answer you from a Hoffman standpoint. And you said we were so-called leaders. You are the leader because you have led somebody in one direction or the other. And I appreciate you telling me what I should do, and I should march, and I'm going to tell you what you should do. You should work hard, get out of prison, and you call the masses together because I'm sure they will follow you. I've never told anybody that I was a leader. I'm just somebody else who's trying to do my best. Citywide Home and Foreign Mission Board presents its annual tea and fashion show Saturday, September 19th at 5 p.m. at the Abyssinia Baptist Church, 408 Northwest 30th Street, 30th and Hudson in Oklahoma City. Dr. Jerry Lewis is the pastor, and they will feature the Joy Little Angels. Joy Missionary Baptist Church. Louise Beatty is the president. Eunice Mack is the program champion, program chairperson. And I know you will be excited about that, and you will attend. This portion of our program is brought to you by Hometown, located at 2001 Northeast 23rd Street in Oklahoma City, open 24 hours for your convenience. A big thank you, Dr. A.L. Dow, because I know you'll be eating some of that good catfish today. Dr. A.L. Dow is our optometrist. He's located at 934 Northeast 8th Street in Oklahoma City. The telephone number is 2350536. You will have to call him for an appointment. Once again, let me repeat Dr. Dow's number, 2350536. When we think of child care, we've got to think of Johnson's Jardinas, located at 1643 Northeast 50th Street in Oklahoma City. And that's the number one. Number two is 2611 North Martin Luther King. I want you to look at the playground equipment. I want you to go in and look at the books and things that's all there for their convenience. Johnson's Jardinas, 1643 Northeast 5th Street, owned by Mr. and Mrs. Paul Matthews. Here's a telephone number, 424-4656. Now, they are taking children after school. Now, don't you want your child in a safe, secure, clean place? Then I recommend Johnson's Jardinas, 1643 Northeast 50th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So you went to Gideon's 300 store last week at 6006 Southwestern. Well, the entire staff would like to thank you because they have all kinds of African clothes, sculptures, art, name it, and they have it. They even have African food. And those of you that like African yams, like Leola Ford, you can go out to Gideon's 300 store and pick that up. Once again, that address is 6006 Southwestern in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Your independent Allstate agent, Marilyn Hildred, would like to thank you for your support. She's located at 730 Britton Road, and you can go out and get any kind of insurance you want. I've gotten a lot of inquiries this morning about how I felt about what's going on in Washington, D.C. I've always felt about what was going on in Washington, D.C. But what I would like to see is every man in America. I would like to see the federal government appropriate billions of dollars to examine the sexual habits of every man in America. Wouldn't that be exciting? Just think it could be the American Men's Report. Wouldn't that be exciting? Okay, wonder what these governors, senators, businessmen, and all are doing behind closed doors. Well, I'll be just as interested in that report as you are in what Clinton is doing all the time. Well, Clinton, I can't say anything about Clinton unless I talk about my friend Thomas Jefferson, because everybody knows that Thomas Jefferson, and nobody's telling this, but you can look it up. Thomas Jefferson had a slave by the name of Sally Hemings, a black slave. She was as black as yonder's blackberry. And when he got ready to go to France, he didn't take his wife, who's a beautiful white woman. He took this black lady and then told the biggest story that's ever been told. He told the people, this is he didn't say what it was. And you look up the life of Thomas Jefferson and see what you can find. And then there were a lot of presidents that have taken oaths of offices that have said, I will uphold the Constitution of the United States. Yet they sat in their office with executive powers and denied black people the right to be citizens. Now, so maybe we should call him up. George Washington, how are you feeling today? I know you realize that when those slaves got to Mount Vernon, they were black. But some way those white sperms and black eggs got together and we came up with a different color altogether. Okay, what do you have to say, James Madison? You are guilty of the same thing. Is that adultery? I don't know. But I sure would like to hear the arguments on adultery. And therefore, I would have to call the presidents. Andrew Jackson, you know, you had a slave by the name of Uncle Alfred. You remember him? You remember how you used to go down there and get them beautiful black, beautiful slaves and use them for your advantage? That was adultery. So what's all the fuss about adultery? Oh, I would hate to be the mother of the woman that was silly enough to let some man, whether he was president or a user. I would hate to be that. Well, anyway, I know I've made you upset down here because the Democrats, I would like to see the Democrats and the Republicans, I would like to call a special resolution to have all of the sexual habits of the Democrats and the Republicans examined at this time in history. We can no longer just start and point at the Star report. We must point at the Democrats' report and the Republicans' reports. How do we know what our governors and everybody's doing? Now, I don't know, and I'm not criticizing you, and I'm not criticizing nobody, but I would criticize Thomas Jefferson, talking about all men are created equal, and then he never, and in his will, he didn't leave Sally one penny. Now, that's what you call mean. Not only that, the men that wrote the Constitution wrote it so that all of the kids that were born out of wedlock, and that includes our mulattoes and others, wouldn't receive anything. Now, that's a sin. That's something for impeachment. And some of them should be impeached because they didn't leave us in their will. Today is a very serious day, and I wanted to throw that in so you would have something to think about. Just don't think about one thing. Oh, Clinton is so bad. What about you? What have you been doing? Suppose somebody had some money to investigate you and your sex habits. That would really be something. Today is a big day of the Soul Bowl at Douglas High School, and that bowl, I understand, will start about 2 o'clock, and people will start gathering this morning about 11. I'm so happy today that CP's Catfish Cafe will be at the Soul Bowl, and you can get some CP's Catfish. It's no secret, that's the best catfish in the world. And I know Helen will love for me to say this because that pink lemonade made by Clara Luper from Hoffman, Oklahoma will be there. Pink lemonade, Pepsi's, Cokes. Oh, it will be a great day at Douglas High School today. Later on, I'm going to ask you who's going to win the game. It was a celebration yesterday for Verda S. Surratt, whose funeral was held at the Greater Mount Olive Baptist Church with Pastor A. Glenn Woodbury officiating. And that family wants to express its sincere gratitude for the many acts of kindness shown during this bereavement. Verda was born in Arkansas, but she came to Oklahoma City. She was a member of the Greater Mount Olive Baptist Church. She joined that church under the pastorate of Reverend E.R. Neal. She was a volunteer worker. She worked in all kinds of organizations, Deaconesses Board, Senior Usher Board, Youth Ushers Board, Citywide Ushers, just name it, and she was there. She was employed with AT&T for 25 years. And on Sunday, September 6, 1998, she went home to be with her God. Clara Luper reporting. Today I have some very important guests here at the studio, and I told you that I would give you the best. I will always present to you the best because you've been waiting a whole week to hear what's going on in our surrounding cities. I don't want to be personal with you. Now, I've recommended that all of the presidents maybe should have been impeached because they took an oath of office saying that they will uphold the Constitution of the United States. And if I can remember the Constitution correctly, the 14th Amendment said that all persons born were citizens, but the presidents allowed us to be second-class citizens, so we should impeach them. Now, that's what I've said. Now, that's my philosophy. What do you have to say? And brother down there telling me that I should get some masses and go on the Capitol. Well, if you hadn't gotten in trouble and gone to jail, you would have been out here. Now, you tell me one thing. What you do, you send me your NAACP membership because that's the organization that's been working for you. Do you need a job? Okay, if you need a job, I want you to get out your pencils and paper because I have a young man who's here and he says that he is recruiting people for jobs. Now, what you want to know first, who he is. You want to know where the jobs are. You want to know what are the qualifications of the jobs. Good morning, and how are you this morning?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
Well, I am so glad that you are wonderful this morning. You look good this morning.
Thank you.
And your name is?
Jerry Loika.
Jerry, where are you from?
I'm from Midwest City Fire Department.
Midwest City Fire Department. Oh, they got a fire department out there. How large a fire department do you have?
We have 5 stations and approximately 100 people.
You have 5 stations out in Midwest City.
Yes.
Have you all been putting out those grass fires?
Well, our citizens have been really good this year. They have been observing the burn ban, and we have had very few serious grass fires.
And let me go back to my question. Have you all been putting out grass fires?
We put them out.
You put them out?
Oh, yeah.
About how many minutes does it take you to get to, say, a 3-mile grass fire in the Midwest City area?
About 3 or 4 minutes.
Now, you firefighters have a ball. All you have to do is sit around and wait for a fire. Is that right?
You bet. Play dominoes and do not much anything else. No, that's not true.
Wait a minute. Now, let's get together. Okay. All you have to do is sit around and play dominoes and have fun.
No, there's a lot of stuff to do.
What kind of stuff does a fireman have to do?
Well, firemen have become more technical. They have to learn how. There are a lot of chemicals that are being transported, just as an example, on our highways, and they're stored in our businesses. And unless we understand what those chemicals can do to us, then if we go into a fire, then they can kill us. So we have to spend more time learning about the chemicals and other deadly things out there, and it's more technical than it used to be.
Okay, when you say more chemicals that are out there, where are the chemicals? Are they in our homes?
In homes, but our main concern is businesses. We have large, take Walmart, for example, or any other business, Target, that deals in pool chemicals and pesticides and herbicides. Those things are all really deadly to us, especially in a fire situation. So we have to be prepared to go in and handle those types of fires so that we can do it safely.
Who trains you how to do that?
We have a training officer, and his responsibility is to teach us how to survive a fire.
Okay, it teaches you how to survive. He doesn't teach you how to put the fire out.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, we put them out too, but we have to survive it too. So
you have to survive.
Yes.
Okay, now let's say that you have how many firemen out in Midwest City?
There are. On our whole department, there are about 100 people. There are
100 people out there.
Yes.
Okay, now I know I've heard a lot about affirmative action and all of that stuff. Do you have an affirmative action program?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm forced to ask you how many Indians are employed?
2 that I know of.
2 out of 100. How many blacks?
None at the moment.
Just a minute now. You
None
mean to
at the
tell
moment.
me at Midwest City y'all don't have any black firemen?
We had one, and he was.
No,
and
I'm
he
not
retired.
talking about what you had. I want to know how many do you have now?
None.
Okay, how in the world can you live in a city where it's as racially diversified as Midwest City without any black firemen?
We're working on it. That's why I'm here.
Okay, you're here.
That's why I'm here.
You're here, and you're telling my radio audience that we have no black firemen. It must be very difficult to get to be a fireman out in Midwest City. Is it?
Yes, it can be, yes.
Oh, it can be. Well, explain to me how you go about applying for a job as a fireman.
Okay. We have, what we are going to try and do is provide anybody that's interested in becoming a fireman for Midwest City, a firefighter. I have to use the correct terminology. Fireman is not good. Firefighter is good. And that is done by coming to some workshops that we have planned so that you can learn what you need to do to become employed.
All right, you're telling me, and you look at me, I'm black as a blackberry from Hoffman, Oklahoma, and what I have to do is to go to a workshop out in Midwest City before I can apply.
It would help you become employed.
No, I'm not talking about it to help me. Do I have to go?
No, you don't have to go.
How will I know about the workshops?
I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay, tell me.
On September 29th at 7 o'clock at the Midwest City Library Forum. That's one of the rooms in there is called the Forum.
Okay, let me get that date. Now, that date is when now?
September 29th.
On September 29th.
At 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
And this is free. Anybody who's interested can come to this session, and it's 2 hours. And we will try our best to help you understand, anybody that comes, to understand what it takes to become a firefighter for Midwest City.
Okay, now where is that located?
It is in part of the city complex, which is 100 North Midwest Boulevard.
Okay, now you say anybody that's interested.
That's true.
Okay. Do you hire 16-year-olds?
Good point. You have to be 18.
Okay, 18 to what?
There is not. I talked to personnel about this, and there is not a specified age limit at the top.
So if you're 65, you can apply.
You can come take a look. I
Okay,
think if you're
I'm making
interested,
you apply.
yes.
But maybe there's some old retired people out there that would like to become farmers. Now, you have to go out there to the workshop. Okay.
Okay.
You don't have any applications that we could send in?
The fire department, the personnel department handles the application process for the city, and the personnel department does not issue applications to be filled out until they're ready to hire. So the Midwest City has a job line, and you can call them and find out when they're ready to hire. They won't hold your application for years and years. It just, when they're ready to hire, you can come get an application, fill it out, and when that testing process is over, then all the rest of the applications they throw away and you start over again.
Okay, I'm completely confused. You're saying to me that when Midwest City gets ready to hire, I can go get an application.
Yes.
How do I know when they are ready to hire?
We are going to spend more time making that information public. We'll be using the radio and the television, hopefully, and the newspapers to let you know when those jobs are available. I can tell you, as far as the fire service is concerned, we plan to hire. We will start the hiring process. In other words, we'll start interviewing and getting ready to process those applications right after the first of the year. And then we will be testing later on, and then probably around September of next year. So we have a whole year before we are actually going to put people in the jobs. And that's why this is important, is so that if you need to be an emergency medical technician, if you don't have that certification, or if you need to be certified as a firefighter 1, there are different levels of firefighters, this gives you a year to go to Votech or Oklahoma State University and get that certification. And it's not that tough to get into those classes and get that certification. Gives you a whole year to get that.
Okay, you want to tell me there are different levels. I don't understand.
Well, Firefighter 1 is the very basic level. Most firefighters, once they come through a rookie school, most of the major firefighters require a rookie school. And once you finish that rookie school, then you're certified as a level 1 firefighter.
A rookie school?
Rookie, yeah.
Rookie school.
Yeah, that's what we call you as rookies. Your first year, you're a rookie.
Oh, first year, I'm a rookie.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. We used to call them crabs out in college. Okay, now
So,
you're a rookie.
Okay, and
Okay.
then once you get that certification, then you're going to be moving up. Then you can become a driver and then an officer and so forth. But that's a career thing. You may have to stay with the fire department your whole career to obtain those positions. But to get on the fire department, you have to be an emergency medical technician or a firefighter 1, and you can get those certifications. And we will provide all that information of how to get that certification at these workshops.
Okay, now what educational qualifications do you need to qualify?
Just
I'm a school dropout.
you need to have a diploma or the equivalent of a high school diploma.
So you can have a GED.
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay. How about a college degree?
That'd be nice. We have, in matter of fact, in this past year we hired 2 teachers. They have their teaching certificates, so we'll take you if you have a degree. We're happy with that.
Now we come to the meat of the situation. Can Midwest City afford to pay its firefighters enough money to make people want to go out there and fight fires?
In comparison to all the departments in Oklahoma, we are the 3rd best paid department in the state of Oklahoma for departments our size. And
Are you telling me that you are the 3rd? You are telling me that you pay your firemen better than the firemen in Lawton?
Yes.
Okay, when you say pay, what's probably the base pay?
For the first year, you are called. It's a probationary period for you while you're a rookie, and it's around $18,000 for the first year. After that, you go to $23,000,
You get a
And
$5,000 jump a year?
after your first year.
After your first year, you get a $5,000 raise.
That's correct.
Okay, tell me more.
Then after that, once you get, you've gone through 3 years of training and you become a journeyman firefighter, then you receive another raise. And a lot of that is based on contractual agreement because we have a contract with the city. And so we negotiate our contract on an annual basis.
Okay, so you sit down. Is that a union?
Yes, we
group?
are. Yes.
What's the name of your union?
Well, it's Local 2066.
Local 2066. That's exactly what I thought. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and here's a special announcement.
Oklahoma City on Tuesday, September 15. Choose a friend in the runoff election for Labor Commissioner. Choose Democrat J.C. Watts Sr. A friend in your community, a friend in your workplace, a friend for your need, a friend indeed. Vote J.C. Watts Sr., Democrat, for Labor Commissioner. Paid for by the committee to elect J.C. Watts Sr.
This is a Clara Luper Radio Show, and I'm interviewing a young man. How long have you been with the fire department, sir?
15 years.
15 years. Fire department, 15 years. And when you
Yes, ma'am.
started, you started as a rookie.
That's true.
And what are you now?
I have a captain rank, and I currently serve as an inspector.
Okay. After you become a captain, where can you go from then?
You can be a captain for a crew that goes out and fights fires, and then you can promote to assistant chief level, and then you can promote to be the chief if you'd like.
Do you have any dreams of being a chief?
No, I really like what I do.
Oh, really?
hmm
Okay, now explain to me what you do on a level where I can understand.
I go and teach kids how to be safe in their homes.
Kids?
Yeah, stop, drop, and roll, cool or burn, crawl low under smoke, all those things that we have heard a million times. And so I go into the schools. We have 17 schools in Midwest City that I'm responsible for getting educational materials into. And then we go to senior citizens groups. We talk to seniors about senior safety. The most people who get injured in fires, the most seriously, are the very young and the very old. So we try and concentrate on our juniors and the senior citizens.
Do y'all provide fire extinguishers for those who aren't able to get them?
No. We provide smoke detectors, though. We do have a smoke detector program, and we will install them for free. And
Just in Midwest City?
Yes, but I need to tell you that all the surrounding fire departments have the same program we do, and
Okay.
it's called Save a Life, and it's through Red Cross.
Save a life
Mhm.
through the Red Cross.
Yes.
It's certainly been a pleasure to talk to you today, but I need to ask you just two more questions and then I'm finished. Question number one, if anyone wants to become a firefighter for the Midwest City Police Department, tell me the number one thing they are to do.
First of all, get registered for this program, and the number is 739-1340,
Okay, repeat that number for me.
739-1340, and that will reserve you a slot. There are only 80 seats per session for these training sessions, and we'll have two of them. The first one is the 29th of September. The second one is October 7th. And both of them are at the library forum.
So 80 people can go out there and apply.
Yeah, participate in this workshop.
Participate in the workshop.
Mhm.
Do you have to pass any test or anything during the workshop? You just have to
nothing.
go out there and listen.
Nothing. Just go out there, and we want to give you information.
Okay, now, once you count experience, don't you? If a person's had experience in the fire department.
Yes. Yes.
And that would be very difficult for blacks because you've only had one fireman, right?
You still have to go through the testing procedure, and there are people that have had experience I've seen fail the test. So
What I'm talking about, suppose you go out there and you've had no experience as a fire person. Would you have the same chance as someone with experience?
I believe you do.
Okay, now you believe
because of the process that you have to go through.
Okay, let's go through that process one more time because I have one more minute. Let's go through the process.
Okay, let's say that you want to become a fireman. You fill out the application. We send you a notice. You take the written test. If you pass the written test, and the written test is not a firefighter test. You don't have to know anything about firefighting.
Well, what do you have to know to pass the test?
You just have to be able to read. That's all you have to do. Read and understand. And it's basic stuff in this test. We just want to know if you can read. Then if you pass that test, then you go to a physical agility test. So another part of the test is being physically fit. If you're not physically fit now, you have a year to get in shape. So start running and start lifting some weights. The next thing is a physical test, physical examination by a doctor, and then you'll go through an interviewing process. If you have problems with your driving record right now, get that cleared up. You have a year to do it, and because you have to have a good driving record if you're going to drive a fire truck.
If you've had a felony, can you get on at the fire department?
I don't believe so. If you've had a felony, misdemeanors are not a problem. You can work that out, but felonies are a problem.
It's certainly been a pleasure to talk to you this morning, and I would like to thank you for being a part of the Clara Luper radio show.
Thank you.
This portion of our program is brought to you by your Allstate Insurance agent, Marilyn Hildred. The telephone number is 8430811. Well, I have some good news for you. Today you're going to have the opportunity to hear from Judge Charles Hill. Do you know Judge Hill? How well do you know him? What do you think about him? He's here in living colors, in blue and white, and that reminds me of my sorority because we will have our first sorority meeting today at 10 o'clock at the Jimmy Stewart's building. Go Zetas Go! The bosses say get on down to the meeting. I sure would like to be there, but my husband has given me an order that I've got to sell CP's catfish at the Soul Bowl. Judge, how are you today?
I'm fine, Mrs. Luper. Judges of the 7th Judicial District. I serve at their pleasure.
Oh, at their pleasure. So if they get sick of you, they can kick you out. Is that right?
That is absolutely true.
All right. Now, Judge Hill, you are a special judge. What does a special judge do?
A special judge hears misdemeanors and preliminary matters as it applies to felony charges. My particular docket encompasses every drug charge, every felony drug charge that's filed in the county of Oklahoma County, along with related charges such as murder and drugs, rapes and drugs, shootings and drugs, robberies and drugs. Anything that has to do with drugs is assigned to my court. I do all the preliminary hearings.
Now, what is a misdemeanor?
A misdemeanor is a infraction of the law that carries a punishment of up to 1 year in the county jail and a fine of up to $1,000. You cannot go to a prison, if you're only charged with a misdemeanor, but it stays local in the county.
So you stay in county jail with a misdemeanor?
That's correct.
Give me some examples of misdemeanors.
Well, misdemeanor may be driving under the influence until you get 2 of those, and then it becomes a felony. A misdemeanor may be simple assault and battery, and until you elevate it to where it becomes an aggravated assault and battery or assault with a dangerous weapon. Misdemeanors are those crimes, those violations where they are considered to be less serious than the felony.
All right, now when you say a district judge, does that mean that you have an office downtown?
It does mean that you do maintain chambers downtown along with a courtroom. Yes.
Okay, when you say chambers, I don't understand what you mean.
Chambers are just the judge's office where he sits prior to coming out to take the bench in the public courtroom.
Okay, so you have an office.
Yes, I do.
Do you have a secretary?
Yes, I do.
You do have that. How long have you been a special judge?
I've been a special judge since November the 13th of 1995.
Now, you don't have many black judges in this district, do you?
Not at this time, no.
Not at this time. Well, how many have you had?
Well, we have had a maximum of 3 black judges at one time in Oklahoma County. That would include 2 district judges, those being the late Judge Major Wilson and the current Judge Charles Owens and the special judge Charlie Hill.
Okay, so you have 3 judges.
Not at this time. Major Wilson is deceased.
Major Wilson is deceased. I realize that. Judge Owens getting ready to retire, and that leaves Charlie Hill, right?
That's correct.
Okay, now, let me ask you, and I want you to be real honest to me. I know you're a black judge, but I just want you to know, are you prejudiced toward whites that come in your court?
Ms. Luper, I'm not prejudiced towards anybody
I
that
asked
comes
you
into
about
my...
whites. I didn't ask you about anybody.
The answer simply is no, I am not prejudiced against whites.
Okay. Are you? Do you give special favors to blacks?
No.
Okay. How do you differentiate?
How do I differentiate?
Yes.
I listen to the evidence, and if the evidence calls for dismissal of a charge, I will gladly dismiss it. If the evidence indicates that there is sufficient evidence to send that particular violation to a jury trial, then I will bind it over for trial.
Your Honor, I'm happy that you're answering my questions, but I've known you for a long time because when I first met you, you were a police officer during those dark sitting days. Do you remember those days?
Very well.
You were very kind to us, and you always offered assistance. And when dignitaries like Raphael Abernathy, Gregory, and all that group came to Oklahoma, you were always there. And you didn't charge us, did you?
No, it was my pleasure to do so, and I felt it was my job, my duty to do it.
I'm sure glad it was your pleasure because we didn't have any money to pay you. And I like for people to work because of pleasure. You were a police officer, right?
Yes, I was.
How did you get to be a police officer at that time?
Well, I began my law enforcement career in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1958 when I was hired as a Treasury agent with the then Federal Bureau of Narcotics.
Okay. Then you came to Oklahoma.
Yes, I came to Oklahoma. When I got to Oklahoma, I liked what I saw here. I liked the way law enforcement was going here, and I thought that I could make a difference. So I
Did
quit.
you know anybody here that helped you to get on the police department?
Oh, yes, Wayne Chandler.
Wayne Chandler?
He certainly did.
Oh, he's helped so many people.
He's one of the reasons I'm here, along with...
Thank you, Wayne.
Along with, he was an assistant attorney general then, Charles L. Owens.
Oh, well, thank you, Judge Owens. Now, look, you were a police officer, right?
That's correct.
What was your job as a police officer?
I was a street cop. I was not an officer that was inside the building. I
You
was
were
out
a
in the
street cop. What does that mean? You walked up and down the streets all day?
Yes, it does. It means that I have walked up and down these streets all day. I have ridden in scout cars all day and all night. As a police officer, I was in the community. I was a visible officer. People knew that Charlie Hill was.
You sure were visible, and you were visible during the sit-ins, and I appreciate the fact that you never just showed hostility among us.
Well, there was no need to show hostility. My entire mission was to keep the peace, and if this sounds dramatic, Miss Luper, I know that you will probably understand. A part of my job was to give my life if it meant preserving the peace and dignity of Oklahoma City. And
you were willing to give your life?
I knew that when I signed on as an officer. Yes, I was willing to give my life.
All right, and now as an officer in the police department, I remember so well when we went downtown because he wouldn't let black and white officers, police officers, ride in the same car. You remember those days?
I'm part of the first integrated police officers in Oklahoma City, and I'm very proud of that.
Tell me about your first day riding around with some white officer.
And I was very, very well aware that my partner was white. We rode in a black district at that time because black officers under no circumstances rode in white districts.
You rode in a black and white police car too, didn't you?
I certainly did.
Okay, tell me more.
Okay, my partner was Officer Homer Barnett. Homer Barnett was a big, strong, strapping individual whom, prior to my riding with him, had a reputation of being fair, of being tough, and some even said that Homer was prejudiced. Homer was fair. Homer treated everybody alike. It didn't make any difference if you were white, green, blue, or black. If you obeyed the law, you were okay. If you disobeyed the law, Homer would get you.
You all sure couldn't eat together then?
No, we could not eat together downtown, but we did go downtown and we worked some of the sit-ins where I saw you attempting to eat, Miss Luper, and I saw many others from the youth members of the NAACP trying to eat together. And I believe that the presence of some of those black officers downtown made quite a difference in the treatment that those persons, yourself included, received.
Well, I sure appreciate that because I never shall forget. I went to jail 26 times, and when I got on that elevator, some of those white officers kicked me and pinched me. Oh, I wish I could remember their names. I would just like to meet them face to face. And you know what I would tell them?
I got an idea.
Okay, then I will not have to express it. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and this portion of our show is a very special portion because I'm talking to a young man who has come up through the police department. And how long were you a police officer with Oklahoma City Police?
For 20 years with Oklahoma City.
How far did you get? You're so smart. How far did you get? You started out as a rookie?
Yes, I
Do
did.
you call them rookies in the police
They
department?
call them rookies.
Okay, you started out as a rookie.
I
What
did.
happened to you next?
Well, after that, I became a sergeant in the patrol division. Then a little later on, I was assigned as the first black supervisor in the detective division's vice squad.
Okay, now you first black supervisor. How many people did you supervise? I know some blacks that's working some of our major plants here as supervisors, but they aren't supervising anyone.
The division the squad that I supervised was the vice detail, and at that time we had approximately 28 members of the vice squad. They were all detectives.
And you supervised them.
Yes, I did.
Did you do your job well?
A lot of people think I did it
Now,
quite
I'm not
well.
talking to a lot of people. I'm talking about what do you think you did?
In my opinion, I did a fantastic job.
Well, I heard a lot of compliments about you during those days. Now, once you became a sergeant, where did you go from there? What kind of sergeant was you?
I was
were
a
you?
sergeant in the vice detail.
Okay, what happened next?
Well, having completed that stint, I went back to the patrol division where I rode in the street and supervised a squad of men for approximately the next 6 or 7 years.
Then what?
After that, I was promoted to lieutenant. I went to the Records Bureau for a short period of time and to the jail where I was a supervisor in the jail. I then returned back to the streets working what is called the number 4 shift. It was a shift from 7 in the evening till 3 o'clock in the morning at that time. I then made captain, and having made captain, I became a shift commander, and I commanded a shift of approximately 75 officers.
All right, now you've had all that experience, and I remember quite well when you told me you were going to school. Tell me about that.
Well, when I came to Oklahoma City, I had high school education and just a few hours of college, and at the age of 42, I became a freshman at Oklahoma City.
Now, wait a minute. You mean to tell me at age 42 you became a freshman at Oklahoma City University?
Yes, I did.
Why did you think you could compete with those young minds just out of high school?
Well, I was just wondering if those young minds could compete with me with
I
the
see.
wealth of
I see. Okay, I see.
experience that I had.
Well, how did you do at OCU? Did you flunk out?
Well, I graduated from undergraduate college with honors. And yes, when I went to OCU Law School, I was expelled for a year. I was suspended for a year because my grades were low.
Okay, you were suspended for a year.
Yes,
and
I was.
I know once you were suspended, you said, I'm through with this thing, I'm going to quit.
No,
You didn't quit?
I had a law degree out there somewhere that I had to get, so I went back. I
You went
studied
back
more.
to OCU.
I went back to OCU, yes, and at that time, I was approximately 47 years old.
And you went back after you had been suspended because of low grades?
I did.
How do you account for your low grades after graduating from OCU?
Well, Ms. Luper, as you know, police officers at that time were not the highest paid persons. I had a family to raise. I was working every day at least 2 to 3 extra jobs and attempting to study in my spare time.
Just a minute. You mean tell me you were going to school, working 2 and 3 extra jobs, and trying to pass in law school?
I sure did. I worked every high school football game in the city that I could get my hands on. I worked in factories in order to get enough money to pay for my own education. And when I graduated law school, I did not have no loans, no student loans. I didn't have any grants. I paid for it by working my way through every dime.
I know Booker T. Washington is really happy in heaven now because that's what Booker T. Washington did. Booker T. Washington walked to Hampton and worked and worked and worked until he finished and later became president of that university. Now, you got back in law school. What happened?
Well, once I got back in law school, I graduated law school in 1980. However, I had 6 years remaining on the police department before I would be eligible to retire. So I did not quit immediately to go into private practice. And the truth of the matter is, I did not pass the bar exam the very first time I was out there either.
Oh, a few people passed the bar exam the first time. Did you pass it the second, third, fourth, or fifth time?
Sixth time.
Oh, the six. Charlie Hill, you have more. I don't know what you call it. Down in Holland, we would say guts. You just kept trying. If at first you don't succeed, try again. When you pass the bar, that was a happy day. I can
It was
see the
indeed.
smile on your face. Charlie Hill has passed the bar, and what had happened then?
Well, I still had 3 years to go with the police department, and I was determined to rise as high in the department as I could. I felt that my service to the community would be better served if I remained in the police department. So there I stayed until March the 16th of 1986 when I finally retired. And the day I retired, I opened up my office and specialized in criminal defense after 28 years of being a cop.
And now you have your office and you're in private practice. My sorority sister, Attorney Washington, told me how kind you were to her when she graduated from law school.
She is my friend.
I would like to thank you on behalf of my sorority, the Zeta Phi Beta sorority, for what you did for Alma Faye. You helped her, and you have helped other lawyers. And now you're running for judge. Is
Yes, I
that
am.
right?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, Charlie, listening to you, I think you deserve to be a judge because you've gone through the ranks and you don't know how to quit. And that's what people need to do. So many people give up so quickly. And you have just continued to go. Now, let's talk about your judgeship. Why do you want to be a district judge?
I want to be a district judge because the people that I'm hoping to replace has been a fantastic judge, and that's current Judge Charles L. Owens.
And you're right.
And I know without any doubt that for that particular position in the 7th Judicial District, Division 1, Office 1, I am by and far the most qualified and competent and deserving candidate for that position.
Well, you certainly are deserving. And there's a song that we used to sing in our church down in Hoffman, through many dangerous toils I've already come. You have really been through. And I want to congratulate you because there are a few people that will go to law school, work 2 or 3 jobs, and then put food on the table. Okay, now what do you want the people to do out in Radio Land?
On November the 3rd, I want everybody out there in Radio Land to go to the polls and to vote for Charlie Hill. But prior to that time, you must be registered to vote. If you are not registered, please, above all, go get yourselves registered.
All right, when do you want us to vote for you?
I want you to vote for me on November the 3rd, 1998.
Now, that's a nonpartisan ticket, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It makes
well,
no
tell
difference.
those- It makes no difference with you whether you are...
Republican, Democrat, Independent, Whig, or Tory.
It doesn't make any difference. They can vote
No.
for you.
Yes,
Well,
if
then
you're in that
ask them to
particular
vote
district.
for you. Don't be modest. This
I am
part of
asking
our
for you.
program is a paid political announcement paid for by friends of Charlie Hill.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, ask them.
Out there in Radio Land, the most deserving and competent person for the position of district judge in Division 1, Office 1, is Charlie Hill. I ask you to please go to the polls on November the 3rd and cast your vote for District Judge Charles G. Hill.
Judge, before you leave, Your Honor, I would like to ask you about that new drug program that you have initiated that will keep people out of prison.
It will keep those persons out of prison whose narcotic addiction is very, very severe, and their violations either is derived from possession of drugs or from a nonviolent crime whereby we can determine that the reason for the crime was to obtain drugs for their own addiction.
Okay, how do you go about getting involved in that program?
First, you have to be charged with an offense, a drug offense or a drug-related offense, one that is a non-violent offense and one that is not a distribution. The program will not accept those persons who are dealers or sellers of drugs. They will not accept persons who have a history of violent crimes. And they will accept those persons who are 2, 3, and sometimes 4 times offenders who are facing stiff penalties in some Oklahoma County or Oklahoma State prison. In order to get admitted to the program, you will enter your guilty plea. It will be a plea related to the pending charges. The district attorney and the defense attorney, whoever that may be, will have already advised the prospective participant of what the punishment will be should they fail the drug court. And it's always time to do if they fail the drug court. So we're not dealing with first-time offenders. We're dealing with second, third, and fourth-time offenders. The next thing is you will sign a contract. The participant, the drug court participant, will sign a contract with the state to the effect that if they successfully complete the drug court program, they are assured of not going to prison. They will either receive a suspended sentence, a deferred sentence, or the charge may be dismissed altogether. Now, this is not a walk in the park type program. This is a program whereby sanctions are imposed upon those persons who neglect to follow their program plan or who neglect to stay clean, so to speak. Drug addiction is a terrific habit to try to break. Somebody asked me one day, well, how many chances will they get to stay in the program? The answer I wanted to give them was, I will give them as many chances as it took me to quit smoking. But I can't do that. I can, so long as I know that we are making some progress in curing the addiction, I can keep them until it appears as though there is absolutely no hope for that individual. I, for one person, does not believe that there's any person out there where there's no hope. They can do it if they try. Over some 28 years of, or actually 40 years of law enforcement, I've seen several people with some extremely hard habits break their habit when they wanted to do so.
It certainly has been a pleasure to talk with you today, and I would like to join those people out in Radio Land, especially the First Assistant Attorney General, that's retired John E. Green, who's supporting you with all his heart, right?
Yes, he is. Mr. Green is my campaign treasurer.
Oh, he's your campaign treasurer.
Yes, he is, and he has just been a mountain of resources for me.
Well, he is a mountain, I can tell you that for sure. Well, thank you so very kindly, and you will be back with me before the election.
I certainly would love that.
Okay, I've certainly enjoyed having you as my guest today.
Thank you, Mrs. Luper. Thank you very much.
And I would like to thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are mourning the death of Attorney Sherdell White, and you remember her. She once ran for the city council in Oklahoma City. We would also like to remind you that our great friend, Effie's husband, Mr. Blaine, passed, and we will let you know when that funeral will be held. Mr. and Mrs. Blaine were members of the Greyhoff Club. And now we pause for a word from...
Keep the dream alive. Equal justice for all. Make your vote count. Elect Don Davis, the right person at the right time for district judge. Honest and impartial, knowledgeable of the law, will make the tough decisions. He's courteous but firm. The composition of the judicial system in Oklahoma is a national disgrace. 99.987% non-black versus 0.013% black. It's time to make a change. Vote for Don Davis. Paid for by the committee to elect Don Davis.
Someone has just asked me if Don Davis, Judge Hill, you and Don Davis was running for the same office.
No, we are not. However, we are running in the same geographical boundaries.
So the people can vote from you from what area?
All those persons that the district runs from Deep Deuce to Forest Park, from the Highlands to the Wildwood areas, from Spencer to Park Estates, Edgemere, Garden Days, and even Lake Aluma can vote for either of us or both of us.
The Barbecue King, Charles Smith, has asked me to invite you to come to Leo's Barbecue, located at 36 and Kelly in Oklahoma City. Never before have you seen such a crowd as you've seen last week at Leo's Barbecue. I talked to Charlie Hill. Charlie Hill can't barbecue. I was talked to Charlie Smith. Leo's son, and he told me that he was going to provide the best. I want you to go to Leo's Barbecue and be sure and tell him you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show. In the meantime, I am happy to report that Calvin Luper is not here today. He's down at Douglas High School and getting ready to, along with C.P. Wilson, to fry that catfish. And I don't want to brag. Certainly, I shouldn't brag on my husband. But Miss Hillary said this about her husband. I would like to present to you my husband and your president. I would like to present to you my husband, the king of frying catfish, C.P. Wilson, who will be frying catfish at the Soul Bowl today. Don't let anybody fool you. Get the real catfish. CP's catfish. That catfish will make you kiss your mother-in-law. What a deal. What an opportunity. Now, those of you from Millwood, you patrons, you want to win that game today, all you got to do is come down there early and get some CP's catfish and tip it off with Clara Luper's lemonade. You say I brag all the time. I have something to brag about. And once you taste that catfish, you will have something to brag about. Well, next week the fair will start. And I want to tell you that CP's catfish and Merlin's gumbo are ready for the state fair. We will see you at the state fair next Saturday, but in the meantime, we are going to see you today. So many of you young ladies have called me. I will be selling catfish today. I'll be on my job, because I know how to work. Ezel Shepard taught all of us how to work. He had a philosophy that I didn't understand. He told us that in his house, if you want to eat, you got to work. And thank you, Daddy. Although my daddy sleeps in yonder's grave, I have never had to beg because I know how to work. And Charlie, I worked 3 jobs to send my kids to college, and I'm really proud of myself. When I think of time now, I know in the next 3 minutes I'm going to have to say goodbye to you. I would like to thank the hundreds of you that have joined the Clara Luper's fan club. Now, young people, to join my fan club, there are certain things that you have to do. You have to be in school on time. You have to sit up in your class, listen, turn in your lessons on time. Now, if you don't turn in your lessons, and you don't get to school on time, and if you cut in class, I'm going to kick you out of my club. Last week, I received about 100 letters from you all over this state. This week, I should receive at least 200 telling me that you're in my club. Now, wait a minute. If you use any profanity, you have to get out of my club. We don't use profanity. We don't fight. And let me break it down. We don't curse people out. And we practice something that's as old as time itself. Do good to those that do evil toward you. You're now, and I can install you now as a member of the Clara Luper's fan club. You don't have to pay no dues. You don't have to come to any meetings, but you do have to get your lessons. Coco, thank you for being a member of the Clara Luper's fan club, the most popular fan club in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And I would like to thank the students out at Northeastern State University, where these college students have invited me to be their guest speaker in February. And I have some good news for you. Clara Luper is one of those that will be selected to be honored in Ponca City, Oklahoma, and I would like to thank all of you that are responsible. I can say that again. You ask me, how did I feel about Clinton? Let me ask you, how do you feel about yourself? Would you like to have your sexual activities exposed? Would you, or can you stand the pressure? If you live in a glass house, you better not throw any rocks. What will happen to Clinton? I don't want to know that. I want to know what's going to happen to you if your sexual habits were exposed. How many of you out there have really been true to your wives? Let's be honest. Wouldn't that be something if this thing would hit so hard and it started rainbowing around and it would hit it would hit the senators, the representatives, the preachers, the deacons, the ushers. I don't know anything about your sexual habits, but I would like to have all of you investigated, the Republicans and the Democrats, and I'd like to have Thomas Jefferson investigated, because he sure had a black girlfriend and wasn't ashamed of it. This is Clara Luper, and whatever you do and wherever you go, remember George Washington committed adultery a lot of times because them black slaves out on his plantation came up with a lot of mulattoes. Clara Luper saying, I do love you, and what you need now is some catfish, and I'm going and serve you some catfish. Bye-bye, and I do love you.